Good morning, good morning, good morning, my brothers and sisters. Good morning and welcome, welcome, welcome to another Good Morning Grief Devotion. It's your boy, Pastor Corey Allen Duncan Sr. So excited to have this wonderful opportunity to come to you today in a very special way to lead you in today's Good Morning Grief Devotion. This is the daily grief devotion that is strategically designed to help you to navigate through your grief one day at a time. What is grief? I'm so glad you asked. Grief, my brothers and sisters, it is the natural and normal and necessary response to loss, change, and transition that results in the expressions of feelings and emotions. That grief is what you feel on the inside. Mourning is how you reveal it on the outside. Therefore, we don't suppress it, but we express it. We don't ignore it, but we explore it. We don't conceal it, but we reveal it. We don't lock it up, but we let it out. That's why we shout good morning, because morning, my brothers and sisters, it is a good thing. And I'm so glad you're with us here on today. Make sure you like, share, tag somebody in this post. If it's a blessing to you, then perhaps it will be a blessing to somebody else. We are super duper excited to have this wonderful opportunity to engage in another Good Morning Grief Devotion. We know that small steps lead to great distances. And so we are grateful on today to be able to take another step. Today, my brothers and sisters, is day 185. We're going to talk about if my natural depression becomes clinical depression, I'll get help. If my natural depression becomes clinical depression, I will get some help. You have to know. Yesterday, we talked about the power and the importance of knowing where you are in your grief journey, right? Um, knowing where you are, right? Where are you? Along with grief comes natural depression, but it does get to the point to where you may have to deal with some clinical depression. You may be experiencing some clinical depression. You need to get help. You have to take constant inventory of where you are. You got to keep a constant pulse on your state of being, mental, emotional, all of that type stuff. And if it gets to a certain point, right, you may definitely want to put yourself in a position to seek some clinical help. Let's talk about it today, y'all. There's a natural depression in grief. Grief forces me to slow down and turn inward. It dulls my ability to find pleasure in life. It makes me feel sad and also empty sometimes, y'all. There's a natural depression when it comes to grief. It's natural, right? Grief, it does a lot of things. It forces us to slow down and it forces us to turn inward, right? When you start going through loss, change, and transition, you slow down. You start to turn inward. You start to look inward. It dulls your ability to find pleasure in life. Nothing's pleasurable. Food don't taste good. The comedians ain't funny. The shows, I mean, don't everything. It just dulls your sense of pleasure because you're dealing with this loss, change, and transition. You don't feel like eating. You don't feel like laughing. You don't feel like doing nothing. It dulls your sense of pleasure, right? To find pleasure in life, it makes me feel sad and also empty sometimes. That grief will make you feel sad. It will make you feel empty. This is just a part of the process. When you start to deal with the loss, change, and transition, these are just some of the things that you go through. These are some of the things you contend with. These are some of the things you deal with. These are some of the things that you grapple with as you navigate through this thing called grief. It's natural, it's normal, and it's necessary. But if I find that I'm having trouble functioning in my daily life, I may be clinically depressed. Now, there are some things that come along with it that's natural, right? But if you find yourself having difficulty functioning, and this is the thing, just in grief in general, you're gonna have a little difficulty functioning. But if it gets to a certain point, right? I don't know what that line is. I don't know, right? But if you find yourself having problems where you are unable to function, right? You may be clinically depressed. Unable to function in your daily life, you may be clinically depressed. And maybe we need to look up what are the signs and the symptoms of clinically depressed. How do you differentiate between the two? Maybe we need to do that. But there may come a point in time where you find yourself to say, yo, I am clinically depressed. Here it is. Other signs of clinical depression include, oh, there it is, persistent low self esteem and apathy, right? And maybe I think just seeing somebody in general is good, but keeping a pulse, keeping a pulse on the temperature of your soul, keeping a pulse on just gauging where you are, so very important, because you'll know what you need to do. You will know what needs to happen. You'll know what needs to take place. You'll know if it's just something in general, just a natural part of the process, or if there's something deeper that needs to happen and something deeper that needs to take place. Other signs of clinical depression include persistent low self esteem and apathy. If I think I might be clinically depressed, if I've been having thoughts of suicide, or if others tell me they're concerned about my depression, it's time to make an appointment with my primary care provider. If people around you, right, are having this conversation, and you yourself, and you just know that something is just off, right? Grief makes things off, right? But if you know that something is off, right, and it might be time to make an appointment. It may be time for you to make an appointment. If you know what you feel is natural, is normal, is necessary, but if you're going through something and you know this thing is off, right? Ah, you may need to take another step. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay not to be okay, right? You might need to make an appointment with your primary care provider. They will help you get the help you need. There's nothing wrong with needing help, y'all. When you start talking about going through grief, you are going through the roughest thing that you've ever experienced in your life. It's tough, it's hard. I tell you all the time the power and the importance of building a team. Sometimes, um, if it gets to that point, if it's off, right, and you got to add a psychologist, whatever the case may be, that might be part of the team. Here's the final thought, y'all. When I need, I recognize it and seek it without hesitation. When I need, I recognize it and seek it without hesitation. Today is day 185. I want y'all to thrive. If my natural depression becomes clinical depression, I'll get help. Any questions, y'all, with this lesson today? It's so very important. There may be those on here today that's already gotten help, right? I know that there's levels to this thing depending on where you are, depending on where you're going through. So many people, they engage help in so many different ways. For some people, a coffee buddy suffices. That's your outlet and it works. For some people, the spiritual aspect. For some people, you may get a coach or a counselor, right? Or you may be a part of a grief group. For some people, you just journal, you do things on your own. And all of these things are wonderful and they help in the process. Some people may feel like, yo, it's off, and I need some help. You might want to set an appointment, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Remember, small steps lead to great distances. Grateful and thankful to always have the opportunity to lead you in our daily grief devotion. I love y'all with the love of the Lord. Hope and pray y'all have a wonderful Wednesday. Stay in the fight. We gonna get there. Good morning.